Day 2, Carly Briggs' trial continues. Her stepfather is taking the stand. She is accused of brutally murdering her mother, shooting at her in the face several times, then calling her friends to come and help her or come over because she has some kind of emergency. She then leaves the back of the home after shooting him through and through in the shoulder, and then she takes off. So we're at day 2. This trial has moved quite quickly, and by the time you guys watch this trial is over. But I am going through each day and analyzing and reacting to the trial. I did not have time to sit and watch it live. I just didn't. But I have tried to play catch up. But I hope you've enjoyed the coverage. But here we go. We're going to see what he has to say, which I was excited about seeing his testimony, because we heard in the defense's opening statement that he's still supporting her, or he is supporting her in some sense. That's what I picked up on? Y'all let me know. Am I wrong? But so I don't know. I was like, whoa, how is this happening? Where, we heard the 911 call. We saw the body cam footage from Hunter Lewis, the sheriff, with the body cam. He is clearly distraught. He's been shot. But the defense in the opening argument says that he is standing by her and supports her. So I was curious. And I'm also eager to see what are the psychiatrists going to say. So, yeah, it's over, but I'm still fascinated about the trial. Join me in watching this with me. And here we go. Here we go.
If you would introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen.
My name's Heath Smiley.
And Heath, we've met before today, that's right?
Yes, ma'am.
If you would, though, these ladies and gentlemen don't know you, so if you would just kind of tell them a little bit about how old you are.
39 years old. I'm a physical therapy assistant, and I've been Carly's stepdad for, it was almost, I guess, 3.5 years.
Tell me, excuse me, Heath, prior to March 19, 2024, who were you married to?
Ashley Smiley.
And when did you and Ashley Smiley meet?
It was the spring of 2019.
And at some point, did you and Ashley Smiley end up marrying each other?
We did in June of 2020.
Where'd y'all get married?
We actually went up to Gatlinburg when things opened back up after COVID.
Y'all like to take trips, be outside?
We did.
How old was Ashley Smiley when she passed?
She was 40.
And where did Ashley work?
She was at Northwest Rankin High School.
Can you describe for the ladies and gentlemen kind of what Ashley looked like?
She was very small, about 5'1", 5'2", blonde hair, blue eyes, super nice, real smart.
May I approach the witness room? I'd ask you to look at that. Can you tell me what that is?
It's a picture that we took. Guess we were up in the Smokies somewhere. I'm not sure which one that one's from. Might have been last fall. I don't know.
And it's a photograph?
Mm-hmm.
And who's in that picture?
That's myself and my wife, Ashley.
Your Honor, we'd ask that be marked as the state's next exhibit.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Be admitted S7 all purposes.
Do not buy new windows if you live in Tennessee. Americans living in zip codes starting with 37 and 38 are saving thousands.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Heath, I know that it's tough. I can't imagine what you're going through. But can you tell us, is the picture of Ashley that is in front of you, is that similar to the way she looked the last time you saw her alive?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about, you told us that, a little bit about Ashley's personality. I don't think there'll be any dispute that she loved being a school teacher, right? Loved her kids at school.
Yes.
Tell me about how much did Ashley love Carly?
They loved each other so much. She just, everything she did, she planned out for Carly and around Carly.
Before you and Ashley met, was she previously married?
She had been, yes, ma'am.
And who was she married to?
That was Kevin Gregg.
And did Kevin and Ashley have any other children besides Carly?
She had a second child that passed several months or a year or so later from a genetic abnormality.
And her name was Natalie Gregg?
Yes.
And she had passed before you met Ashley, is that right?
Yes, years before.
What did you know about the relationship between Ashley and her ex-husband, Kevin Gregg?
Only some things that Ashley had told me here and there. Things didn't go well, and they ended up getting divorced.
And he, the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have seen some body cam footage of the day that your wife was murdered and you were shot. And on that, you mentioned that y'all were having some trouble with Kevin Gregg. Can you explain to us what was going on around that time?
I think he just liked trying to give Ashley trouble as much as he could through the legal system, any chance he could. I don't know exactly what all was going on, but she had acquired someone to try to get him back into court about possibly changing up visitation stuff again.
Had Carly ever told you anything about Kevin Gregg using drugs?
Yes.
So he was a known drug user?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to talk to you, Heath, about, you told us about how much Ashley loved Carly and that Carly was basically her life. Tell us about yours and Carly's relationship before March 19, 2024.
We were always good. We laughed and played and messed around, loved video games, and took her to karate stuff until she kind of got tired of that, and she started going to guitar practice weekly, so I was taking her to that every week. We got along great.
You liked being a stepdad?
Yes.
Sometimes with children comes discipline, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you say, or how would you describe the type of parent that Ashley was to Carly?
She was, like I said, always thinking about Carly and just Carly's first no matter what. She would do anything in the world for her and would try to get the best for her every day.
Were there times that you and Ashley would have to punish Carly?
Of course.
Give us some examples of that, Heath.
She had troubles growing up with back and forth with the stepdad and everything, so she would always wanting to try to make friends at the house and around home. And Ashley was always trying to, keep an eye on her, make sure she was okay and knew where she was. And Ashley had to fuss at her a time or two about, I know you can't go here, you can't go there, it's too late, that kind of thing. But she never really, day to day, got in trouble, really.
I want to ask you, was there a time that a boy named Thad came over to y'all's house.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen what you recall about that day?
We were all sitting at the house, and there was a knock at the door, and Ashley checked the doorbell camera, and we didn't know who it was. Carly had talked to us about Dad, and we knew who it was. We just didn't have a face to the name. And Carly saw who it was and didn't want to see him, so I went to the door and just said, "I'm sorry, I told him he must have the wrong house," and came back in and shut the door.
Where were Ashley and Carly when you were at the front door with Thad?
They went around, I guess, into the hallway or maybe one of the bedrooms, I'm not sure.
At any point, did it appear that Ashley was physically holding Carly back from going to the front door?
No.
At any time after you told told Thad that Carly didn't live there, did Carly act like she was upset with you?
No.
Did she act like she was upset with Ashley?
No.
Do you think that she would have been mad enough to have said, like, she almost murdered y'all because you wouldn't let Thad come in the house?
That's not the feeling I got from it at all.
Interesting line of questioning. So is this something that the prosecution knows that the defense is going to be bringing up later as a defense? Her mom was holding her back. Does she really wanted to see this kid? I don't know. I'm just speculating. I mean, I'm just watching this for the first time, but just wondering why would the prosecution bring that up? Is it something that the defense is going to be bringing up, right? I mean, just making you think.
I want to talk to you about back in 2021. Carly would have been in middle school. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Were they living in the house with you?
Yes,
Carly
ma'am.
and Ashley? Carly was in the 7th grade, I think, then?
Sounds right, yes.
Was there an incident where Carly got in trouble for bringing a knife to school?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about what you know about that.
All I know is we had ordered some stuff off Amazon, and since she loved doing all the arts and crafts and stuff in her room all the time, making stuff, I showed her a Swiss Army knife I had found on Amazon like I had when I was young, and she decided on a color of one she wanted, and I ordered it for her, and she used it all the time in her room. And then all of a sudden one day we found out she had it at school in her pocket and somehow got in trouble with it. And I don't know what happened, but they said they couldn't tell us much more at the school about it, and that's about all I know on it.
Yeah. So the knife was in Carly's pocket, not in her book bag. Is that right?
I was understanding it was in her pocket from that morning when she was using it, but
and then you didn't actually go to the school for any type of hearing in regards to that, right?
no.
That would have been something that Ashley handled.
If she went up there for that, I don't remember it. No, she might have. I don't know.
What did Carly tell you, or how many days did Carly tell y'all that she had actually brought the knife to school?
I thought it was just that day.
What was the result of her bringing the knife to school?
They have a zero tolerance policy on that and sent her to an alternative school until I think it was that Christmas break and let her come back.
So she had to spend time at the alternative school as a discipline.
Yes.
What, if anything, Heath, do you know about another time that Carly got in trouble at school for cheating?
That was, I can't remember if it was this past spring semester or when it was. Everything is kind of run together on exactly when. But at some point, she has always complained to us that kids constantly bug her for help with schoolwork because she can do all of it so easily and she can explain it to them better than most teachers. And she got so tired of them coming to her for stuff. Somebody just dared her or something, I'm not sure what. And apparently the teacher had a book or a computer or something open, and she took a picture with her phone of whatever was open up there.
Was it like the answers to a test or something like that?
Something like that. I'm not sure exactly what now, but yes.
And then she shared those answers with other kids?
I assume so, yes, ma'am.
Is at the same school that Ashley taught at?
Yes.
How, from your observations, how did Ashley respond when that happened?
She was just upset that she had done that, and she, talked to her about, can't be cheating, can't be letting others talk you into things. Just going with the flow of kids is not a good idea usually. So.
Heath, were there other, we talked about Thad, was there another boy that Carly was in some sort of dating relationship with that y'all knew about?
She had been dating Anthony. Honestly forgot his last name right now.
That's okay, but you and Ashley knew about him?
Yes, ma'am.
Had he been to y'all's house before?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there any time that you or Ashley told Carly, hey, you need to end this relationship with him?
I didn't get into a lot of that. Ashley had talked with Carly about him and, some of the things that was going on, and they had supposedly ended it.
I believe you told, do you recall telling law enforcement that there were times that you and Ashley both would go through Carly's phone?
Yes, we tried to keep an eye on her.
Was there ever a time that you or Ashley took Carly's phone away from her?
So Ashley had the parental controls on her phone, and we got to where we weren't going to let her take it into her room when it was bedtime. We had to keep it like on the kitchen counter, or we'd keep it in our bedroom sometimes. But she had her phone most of the time so she could be able to call or text us if needed. She might have not let her take it to school some days. I can't remember exactly, but most of the time when she was out and about, she had the phone, even if Ashley locked down some parental controls for a little while.
Why was it that y'all didn't want Carly to have the phone in her room at night?
She was worried that she would stay on it and messing with it and not sleep.
Was there ever a time after y'all thought that Carly had broken up with her boyfriend that y'all learned that in fact she had not broken up with him?
So Ashley worked at the school, and she told me she had still seen them, in the hall together, walking up and down the hall and things. And she talked to me about it and was like, she was okay with it and everything, as long as, it was okay and nothing harmful was coming of it for Carly.
Heath, do you recall a time that you and Ashley discovered that Carly had an iPod that she was using to communicate with people?
Yes, that was another thing that her dad had talked her into doing to get around communication. He was, I think, kind of paranoid about everything, and that Ashley might have been controlling Carly's communication with him, even though she always left those communication channels open, even when she locked down the phone.
Did it appear to y'all that she was in fact talking to her dad on the iPod?
I don't think so.
Who was she communicating with?
I'm not sure if she was communicating with kids so much as she was on like TikTok and some of that kind of stuff.
And y'all had asked her not to be on those accounts.
Yes.
Do you remember when that was, Heath? Around what time of year?
I don't remember that.
Was there ever a time that you and Ashley learned that Carly had been cutting her thighs with a knife?
Yes, and I was trying to think of a time frame on that, but it was, I don't know when, several months back, maybe a year.
And Heath, do you know anything about Carly taking any sleeping pills?
Nothing other than she used to sleep like a rock, and Ashley always had sleeping trouble, and she would take a melatonin at night, and it was a week or so she had a bad cold, and she was taking some NyQuil. I think she said that helped out some too. So
Around the time that y'all found the iPod and Carly was cutting her thighs, is that about the same time that Ashley took her for therapy for anxiety and stress?
Within, I don't know, I think that was maybe a couple months maybe before, it seems like.
Is that your understanding, though? That's what you told law enforcement of why Carly was in therapy, was anxiety and stress?
Yes, ma'am, it was something like that. I think she was kind of depressed some days.
And I think you told them that there were times that you would go maybe to the therapist's office with her, but you weren't actually sitting in any of those appointments, were you?
No, ma'am. I went up there with them a couple of times, but it was kind of a little waiting room outside.
And you don't have any personal knowledge about any medication that was prescribed, do you?
Not until after this. I knew she'd been on one, and they changed her up to something else.
You don't have any knowledge on whether or not Carly was actually taking that medicine, do you?
She had been taking one a day, I think, until they wanted to swap her up to a different one. So I'm not sure on the time frames on that. I'm sure it's in the record somewhere.
Yeah, and Heath, so I've been prescribed medicine before, and sometimes I take it, sometimes I don't. Did you actually physically see Carly taking her medication?
Ashley would have her go get it and make sure she was taking the whatever it was, one a day or whatever. She kept an eye on that.
Do you know if on March the 19th, 2024, did you see Carly take any medicine?
The 19th?
Yeah, March the 19th of 2024.
No, ma'am. Not that afternoon.
The morning.
Oh, no. I don't know about that morning. She usually would take it in the evening when she ate.
Okay.
I think.
Sorry, that was a bad question. So Carly would actually
Yeah.
take her medicine in the afternoon.
I think so.
Okay. When's the last time that you saw your wife alive, Heath?
That was the morning of the 19th.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen kind of how that morning went?
Everything seemed just as normal as ever. She got up and went to work just like always. She would fix tea or something in the morning and get in the car and take off. Nothing seemed unusual at all.
Did you also see Carly that morning?
Yes.
Can you describe for us what, if anything, you noticed about Carly that morning?
Didn't notice anything different.
How would Ashley get to work every morning?
She'd drive her and Carly down to the school.
And then how would they both ride back together from school to the house?
Yes.
Did they usually leave, or on March the 19th, did they leave before you or after you that morning?
Usually a couple minutes before.
What about, not on the 19th, but on a regular day, would they get home before or after you got home from work?
They were always home before me unless something happened at my work and I was able to get out a minute early, which is very rare.
What time would they usually get home from school?
I'm not sure on that. I don't know. I guess school was out maybe 3:15. I don't know. And it's whatever traffic allows, 15 minutes or something up the road, maybe.
Typically, what time do you get home from work?
It varies. Usually, I get out of work about 4:30, and sometimes I hit that evening traffic, and it's 20 minutes or so before I make it 3 or 4 miles to the house.
And where is your house?
Right off of Bullfannin out in Farmington Station.
That's here in Rankin County?
Yes, ma'am, out towards the reservoir.
And the distance from where you work to where you live is probably only about 5 miles, right?
Yeah, it's not far. It's just morning and evening traffic takes a little while.
Do you know if Ashley and Carly were at school all day on March the 19th?
As far as I know.
I want to ask you, Heath, were there times that you and Ashley would text each other on your cell phone?
Yes.
Do you recall talking to Ashley on March the 19th?
I don't recall, other than that evening I got a text saying she was going to go to the grocery store.
Permission to approach the intern. Keep that handed back to you if you don't mind.
So far, it seems to be typical, normal thing, other than them finding out that she was cutting herself. And I'm curious to know what kind of medication was she taking. So I'm assuming this is why the prosecution is bringing it up and getting it out of the way. Getting all of this stuff nice and neat in a package, because I'm assuming that the defense is going to come out and go, well, she's on this medication. Now, look, we know that some medications that these people take, or even adults take, it does alter your mood and your brain patterns. There's been studies on it. Now, was she taking it regular, or did she stop taking it and then she had a psychotic episode? I don't know. It's probably, obviously, it would be worth exploring for the defense to do this. I don't know. I'm just thinking this out. Where is this going? Why would she bring that up? Just to make you go, All right, let's get back to it.
If you'll look through those messages, please.
I did notice Carly has a lot of rapid eye blinking. I'm not sure what that means. But she more rapid eye blinking with her father on the stand than I've seen her in day one boo-hooing. And even day one, when the prosecution was doing her opening statements, I didn't see a lot of rapid eye blinking. I just saw a lot of eye movement, like looking around and looking visibly scared. But I am noticing she has a lot of rapid eye blinking. It looks like her blouse looks like the cream blouse, but this one's black. So there you have it. The defense dressing her. How that's going to help, I don't know. I wonder if he suspected that when he got that text, "When you coming home, honey?" Does the mother normally text and say that? Like, did he suspect it wasn't his wife, that it was Carly or somebody else? I don't know what the relevance is of the text messages they had that day. I am not sure.
Okay.
Do those, and admittedly, these are not all of the messages between you and Ashley Smiley forever, are they?
Right.
Does this appear to be a true and accurate copy of the messages starting at 4:30 that day when she's talking to you about going to Kroger?
It seems to be.
Or we'd ask that these messages be marked as the state's next exhibit.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Be admitted as say.
It starts at, I think it says 3:20.
Yeah.
And thank you, Heath. You corrected me.
Back. Okay.
Yeah, I apologize, Heath. You're right. The first message I was looking at was actually from the day before. I'm sorry, on 3/18. So on the bottom of that page, your page 2 of that exhibit, does Ashley say to you? She says, I need to go to Kroger, thinking about going on the way home. Do you want anything?
Yes.
Did that appear to be a normal message that you and Ashley would have with each other?
Yes.
I think then you go on to tell her a couple things that you want. If you'll read for the ladies and gentlemen, kind of just a grocery list, right?
Yeah, just Mountain Dew, some soft serve ice cream, a couple of kinds of bread that I eat, and some random chips, just some junk food stuff.
And again, typical message between you and Ashley.
Yes.
And then at some point, does she respond back to you?
Yes, she replied back later. Says gonna go later.
Still sounds like something Ashley would text to you.
Yes.
Tell us about what that next message is that you got from Ashley's phone, Heath.
Said you almost home, honey.
Does that sound like something Ashley would typically say to you?
Not typically, but it wouldn't have been totally out of the realm. I think she would have phrased it slightly different, but I don't know.
What time was that text message sent to you?
That says 4:14.
Do you recall telling law enforcement that you thought that Carly actually sent you that text instead of Ashley?
I was wondering about that one at the time. Yes.
And then what did you respond to that message?
Said no, I'll be here for a little bit yet, meaning at work.
And then you can't see it on this, but I think maybe Carly or whoever had her Ashley's phone sent you a thumbs up.
Sounds correct. Yes, it's not on there.
So let me.
And that was right after she killed her mom. She immediately went to the kitchen, sat on the kitchen stool, had the gun behind her, and did those text messages. That's insane.
Ask you, what made you think that that was Carly that sent that message and not Ashley?
I don't know, just something with the phrasing of it, maybe. I'm not sure.
I want to walk you through prior to March the 19th, 2024, did y'all have any type of surveillance cameras at your house?
Yes, we had a couple of things around. The Ring doorbell, well, I'm sorry, it's not a Ring, it was a Wise brand doorbell. Ashley had gotten to see if packages and stuff were being delivered during the day.
Were there other cameras either in the garage or inside the home?
Yes. 1 second.
Take your time.
Thank God the cameras were there. Or this could be a whole different situation. Possibly. Because, dad, blame. Those cameras were invaluable evidence and damning to Carly.
We had one camera in the kitchen that I had actually gotten years before. I was going to actually put it at my mom's house so she could see what her dog was doing when she went outside. But the internet out there in the country is so slow it wouldn't run. So I had set it up at my house, I guess, well before I had even met Ashley. And it had just been sitting around.
It was a Wise brand camera also.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know if that camera had any kind of like a SD card in it?
Ashley had put an SD card in it at some point, yes.
And I'm not super techie, but an SD card is just kind of something like you put in a regular camera to hold pictures or hold videos. Is that right?
Yes.
Was there any way to tell what time a video popped up from that camera?
That camera was older and had some issues working with the newer software. I'm not sure on that. Ashley had been trying to work with it some, but
Could you? I know I have a security system at my house, and there are times that mine's motion activated, and that it'll ding on my phone, and I can watch kind of who's outside my house. Did you have that ability?
no.
What about on the inside camera?
Well, the doorbell camera would ding if somebody walked up, like UPS dropping a package off or something, but the inside camera, she never could make it do anything like that. If it had that capability, it wasn't on or working.
So you weren't able to actually watch the inside from an app or anything like that?
I think you could pull up like a live stream on it, but it wasn't like dinging your phone every time the dogs moved in the house or anything like that.
Which is probably a good thing, right?
Right.
So I want to ask Keith, have you ever viewed the footage from the inside cameras from March the 19th of 2024 at your house?
No.
Holy smokes.
You said that there was also a camera in the...
Holy smokes, he hasn't seen it yet. I don't blame him. Dad, blame. Holy smokes, guys, he has not seen it.
garage area?
Yes. Ashley had set that one up maybe a week or something before.
Could you tell the ladies and gentlemen kind of how that camera was activated?
So she actually got that not to use as a camera. She wanted to be able to remotely open and close the garage door and make sure she had remembered to put it down when she left and that kind of thing. And Wise had a camera that she set in your garage that would watch the door, and it knew, to open or close it when you wanted to, and you had a camera as well.
Nice.
So she mounted it on the garage door opener itself.
And that camera, did it also record video and audio?
Yes.
The way that those clips work, how long is each clip on one of those videos?
I would have to go back and look at the time on that. I'm not certain.
Do you have any reason to disagree with the fact that it's like a minute clip at a time?
Perhaps.
Is there any way, other than deleting videos on those computer systems, are you aware of any way that somebody could go in and physically edit a video from that?
Not that I know of.
And Heath, at some point, and I want to talk a little bit about it later, but at some point, did you actually watch some video from the garage camera from March the 19th?
Yes, the Rankin County officers had been all out in the garage looking through stuff, and I just assumed that they had gotten the other in the card and everything, and a couple days after, I guess it was the 21st, somewhere in there, I realized that the card was still in, the SD card was still in the camera in the garage, and I was kind of looking at some of the footage that it might have caught.
Can you tell me, I believe there were 4 videos that may be relevant to March of 19.
That sounds right, yes ma'am.
2 videos of Ashley and Carly coming home, is that right?
I think so.
And then the video camera captures you pulling into the driveway and walking into the home.
Yes.
And then you've seen the last video, and you can't see the shooting, but you can actually hear when you walk into the house,
yes,
the first gunshot.
Yes, the newer cameras had the ability to start recording when they heard a noise, or I think I've even read where some of them are smart enough to hear the sound of, like, if somebody breaks through a window or something like that, they'll start recording for home security reasons.
So you've actually listened back and watched that particular video.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to talk to you about, tell the ladies and gentlemen, Heath, and I know it's probably difficult, you can take as much time as you need. Tell the ladies and gentlemen exactly what you remember about when you came home on March the 19th, 2024.
Everything seemed pretty normal, and I came on in, and when I opened the door to the kitchen there, gun went off in my face before the door was, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches wide open, and everything kind of went pretty fast from there. It was a blur. So.
I want to take you back just a step. Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, saw a bit of a video from inside your house, but just so we're clear, when you say you were coming into the kitchen, I believe you pull into the garage and there's a door that leads from the garage into the home.
Yes.
And then there's a little laundry room area.
Yes.
And then there's another door kind of beside your refrigerator that leads from the laundry room into the kitchen area.
Yes.
Were you coming in the first door or the second door when the gun went off?
The second door from the laundry room to the kitchen.
And do you remember, is there anything you do every day when you come in the house?
Usually stop and take my shoes off there and come on in and change clothes.
Do you remember if you took your shoes off on March the 19th?
I think I did, yeah.
Was it unusual for that second door to be closed in your house?
Sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't. We would shut that door a lot of times, trying to keep the sound of the washer and dryer down, or trying to keep one of the dogs out of the garbage can that we had in there.
I have to do something similar. Y'all have 2 large dogs, right?
2 golden retrievers.
And so on that day, the second door was what was closed.
Yes.
I believe you said that you didn't get it open probably 3 or 5 inches before it went off. What did you remember seeing, Heath?
Just gun flash in my face, and then it went off 2 more times, but my hand was on the gun after the first shot, and I twisted it from her.
Who was pointing that gun at you?
It was Carly.
Who pulled the trigger when you opened the door?
The first one I know was Carly. After that, my hand was on the gun too, and I know I had a scratch on my thumb and all. I very well could have hit it, I know, that third time.
How close, Heath, was that gun to your face when that went off?
Maybe a foot.
Did you ever get struck by a bullet?
Yes, one of them kind of grazed right through this muscle up here.
Can you tell, ladies and gentlemen, what did that feel like?
I know this sounds weird, but I honestly have never felt it to this day.
When the gun went off in your face, tell ladies and gentlemen, I mean, was your body in a state of shock?
Not at that moment. I was trying to figure out what was going on.
Did you see anybody inside your home other than Carly?
No.
Walk us through, you said that you were able to at some point get the gun from her. Tell us, Heath, what is it that you remember after that?
She was screaming out of her mind, scared. It was like she had seen a demon or something. She was terrified. And my first thought was there was an intruder somewhere, and she thought she was after somebody else.
And to be clear, Carly never told you that she thought somebody else was in the house, right?
No, that's the feeling that I got. She was terrified out of her mind.
And at that time, you did not yet know that your wife was dead, right?
No, not at that time.
So Carly's scared. She's screaming when she shoots at you. How many shots went off from that gun?
At that time, there was 3.
What type of gun was it that you took from Carly?
It was my Taurus revolver.
And what type of what caliber of weapon is that?
So the gun is a .357 Magnum, but I think it had 38 special rounds in it. You can,
Lord.
if the gun's a .357, it can also shoot 38s. A little bit lighter recoil.
And what color was that gun?
It's just the gun matte silver.
Prior to taking it out of Carly's hand, where was the last time you saw that gun?
Ashley kept it on her side of the bed, so it had been there for probably a couple years.
When you say on her side of the bed, was it on a nightstand or was it somewhere else?
I think she kept it. We had little cubbies underneath the edge of the bed. The mattress is sitting up on. I think it was sitting up under there.
Between the mattress and the cubbies,
Well, I
underneath
think
the
it was
mattress?
I think she just had it in a cubby under there.
Was the gun just loose or was it in some sort of holster the last time you saw it?
I do not recall that. It was a while back. It had been sitting for a long time.
Did you have other guns in the house on that day?
Yes, I had an old shotgun that I've had for years that's unloaded in the closet, and I had an AR that I had gotten. It was also unloaded in the closet.
Were there some other guns maybe in a safe too, somewhere?
There was a Glock in the safe. There was a BB gun probably in the house somewhere too. I don't know.
Do you know if Carly knew the location of any of those guns?
She probably knew about the 2 in the closet, but like I said, they were unloaded, and the last time I had tried to talk her into shooting, she was too little to even hold them up. They're heavy, big.
And you had several guns in your house. Did you and Ashley ever go shoot guns?
Yes, we did.
That was something y'all enjoyed doing together?
Yes.
When you took the gun out of Carly's hand, what did you do with the gun?
I was holding on to it, and like I said, I at that time thought there might be someone else in the house, like an intruder or something. So I immediately started checking the house and looking for Ashley.
Did you attempt to call Ashley also?
I did.
I want to take just a step back, Keith. You get the gun from Carly. You said that she was screaming. What did she do next?
She fell back into the kitchen island, just kind of straight back onto her butt, and was screaming, jumped up, ran out the back door. And I mean, I'm still pretty quick and agile, but I knew I couldn't catch her. She was moving so fast. She ran out the back and took off, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to catch her, so I turned around, stepped back in, and I locked the back door behind me.
Do you know why you locked the back door?
Because I was thinking there might be someone else out and about and around, in or out of the house. So I went to checking the house.
Do you remember telling anybody that you were in such shock that you didn't even try to shoot Carly back or anything like that?
No, it was very evident to me immediately that something was very, very off with Carly. The way she was screaming, the way she looked. She was moving so fast.
So, Heath, you you said Carly is at this point, she's out of the house, she's run off. You know,
She's moving so fast because she missed. She didn't take him down. He got the gun from her. Now, he doesn't even know his wife's dead at this point. He thinks there's somebody, an intruder. Maybe in his mind, he's thinking Carly thought he was an intruder. I don't know. I'm speculating.
never actually saw someone, I mean, other than Carly at the house, right?
No.
So you locked the back door, you're going through the house, you have this firearm still in your hand. At any point, did you open up the firearm?
I opened the cylinder on it to check to see if how many had been used or was left in it, and closed it back up and started checking the house.
When you opened it back up, how many live rounds did it appear were left in the gun?
Just one.
And how many rounds does that .357 Magnum revolver hold?
It's a 7-shot.
So you knew that she'd fired, at that point you knew she'd fired 3 at or in your direction.
Yes.
You did not know what the other 3 had been used for?
Correct.
Folks.
The last time you saw that gun, were all 7 rounds live?
As far as I know, I guess the last time it had been used was a couple years before, or sometime when Ashley had shot at some, and I assume she had reloaded it.
So Heath, you're walking through the house. You have this gun, afraid that maybe there's somebody else in the house. You said, I believe that you tried to call Ashley.
Yes.
Did she answer?
No.
Did you find her phone?
Found her phone. It was on a counter in our living room.
Was there a second phone beside it?
Yes.
Did you recognize the other phone?
I didn't really stop to look.
So you realize that Ashley's phone is there. Through what happened next, Heath?
I checked our bedroom, bathroom, closet, other side of the bed, under the desk in there, and turned and started looking, going towards the other end of the house, and I glanced in our spare little 3rd bedroom, and then turned and went into Carly's room, and that's where I found Ashley.
She's not rapid blinking anymore, guys. She's in a daze.
When you found Ashley, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen what you saw?
She was laying on her back and had her hands kind of across her, and a towel over her face.
Do you remember what color the towel was?
I do not.
When you
That's an interesting point. So, Carly put a towel over her face because she didn't want to look at her. Interesting. Wonder what the therapist or psychiatrist is going to say about that.
saw her laying there, what's the very next thing that you did?
Checked her pulse, see, and kind of moved the towel, and then called 911.
And Heath, when you moved the towel,
Oh my God. Guys, he said he had a .357 Magnum. I can't even imagine the damage that gun did to her, did to his poor little wife. And she was a tiny little woman too. Good Lord.
what did you see?
I knew she had been shot. There was blood around, but I don't really recall exactly where. Somewhere in the right side of her face there.
You said you called 911.
Yes.
What did you tell the 911 operator had happened?
I tried to immediately tell him I needed the police out, that my wife had been killed and I had been shot.
Do you remember telling them who had shot you?
I assume I said Carly on there, but I don't remember exact details.
No tears coming now. What does that mean?
Do you recall telling the 911 operator that, oh my God, she's killed her mother too?
I don't recall saying that, but it's very possible, I guess.
At that point, Heath, did you think that Carly was the one that had killed her mother?
I didn't know what was going on at that point. I kind of went into shock there.
At some point, and again, the ladies and gentlemen, Heath, have seen some of the body cam footage from that day, but at some point, someone from the sheriff's department does come to your house.
Yes.
Walk us through what you remember happening once he gets there.
I don't know much there other than I got out the front door and just laid down on the front porch.
And it's pretty safe to say that you were still in a state of shock.
Yes.
At some point, were you loaded up by the paramedics?
Yes.
And where did they take you?
Took me to Baptist Hospital ER.
And what was the reason for taking you to Baptist Hospital?
They wanted to get me checked out and make sure everything was okay. They knew it wasn't real bad or anything, so they're just trying to be cautious.
But you had in fact suffered a gunshot wound.
Yes, they got me down to the ER and they put a piece of gauze, taped some gauze on it, and sent me back home.
And it went through your kind of right, like trap muscle
Yes.
area. How far? I mean, not to pick on you, you don't look like a very large man. He's pretty average size. I mean, would you agree with me that where your trap muscle is and your head are about 6 inches apart?
No, I guess, yes.
So that shot was pretty close to your head.
It was close, yes.
You were, the gunshot actually, thank goodness, went kind of through and through, right?
Yes.
So you didn't require any surgery to remove the projectiles.
No.
In fact, Heath, I think you were actually, excuse me, I think you were actually released to go home that evening.
Yes, like I said, they taped a piece of gauze on me, and I don't remember them doing a whole lot else.
And the night was probably pretty hectic as far as telling people what happened and what was going on. At any point, did you ever tell anyone that it was someone other than Carly Gregg that had shot you or Ashley?
Not that I recall, no, ma'am.
And to this day, you've not told anyone that you think that the person that shot you or shot Ashley was somebody other than Carly, have you?
No.
We talked a little bit about law enforcement being at the house that night. At some point, they kind of released the scene back over to you, right?
Yes, I think when I returned back from the ER, they had finished up and cleared out, and there was a guy had me sign a paper and went on back in.
Kind of saying the things that they'd taken from the home that night.
Yes, ma'am.
Heath, I mean, you go back home and they've taken some things out, but of course there's still, I mean, clear evidence that a murder had happened there, right?
Yes.
At some point, do you notify law enforcement about the garage camera?
Yes, I think it was Friday morning, I was looking through that SD card to see if it had caught anything. And of course the cops were looking all around, everywhere in the garage for various things, and had apparently not seen the camera. And they found 4 videos that you referenced, and I called and told them I had found something else and they'd come pick it up or whatever, and they had still at that time not returned my driver's license to me, so they decided to bring that out.
And at some point they did actually get those videos from you.
Yes.
And to be clear, there was some confusion about an Apple computer and copying
Yes,
versus cutting.
I had
Sorry.
moved those 4 videos over to my computer and was just going to let them have the card with everything on it. And when I moved them over, it pulled them off the card onto the computer rather than like a copy and paste and making a copy onto mine. So the officers came back in and were talking to me about tampering with evidence and possible charges of messing with evidence, even though I called them out there to come get the card.
And to be clear, I don't think they ever told you they were going to charge you with tampering. They just explained that they didn't want it to look like somebody might have done that, correct?
No, he said we're trying to avoid having to charge you with tampering with evidence.
Okay.
He clearly
At
remembered
that point,
that.
you're still pretty much in a state of shock, right?
Yes, there was 4 or 5 of them in my bedroom.
And in fact, if that was said to you, that would certainly not be indicative of what you would want to, how you would want to be treated, right?
I didn't know. I was just trying to be helpful at that point and figure out what had happened or why.
And I believe even on that day and after that, you did still continue to assist law enforcement in the investigation, right?
Yes.
At some point, you decided that you no longer wanted to communicate with the state or law enforcement, right?
Yes. After a few things that had happened, I went and got a lawyer.
Let's see. You talked about you told us about the garage camera and the incident, and to be clear, this was just an honest mistake, and I think that was relayed even by the officer and you, that this was, instead of copying and pasting something, you accidentally cut and pasted something.
Yeah, I mean, that's a new laptop that was sitting there. I was got it rather than a Windows computer this time to try out, and when I realized that mistake, I said, you can take the whole computer, just whatever, you know, and I had it sitting there open, so he just moved it over, got on the computer and moved it over himself, one of them.
At that time, no one had been able to find the camera from the kitchen, is that right?
Correct.
Where all, if you would tell ladies and gentlemen, I mean, we knew the camera was missing. Where all did you look for that camera?
Everywhere I could possibly think of. I looked high and low through the whole house. I mean, I wasn't looking just for the physical camera. I mean, it's a little shorter than that water bottle probably. But I was looking through small stuff even for the SD cards. Like, they're the size of your thumb. Postage stamp size maybe. And I was looking in shoes and boots and clothes drawers and pockets of clothes. I looked through every tiny little shred of garbage before I let any garbage go out of the house. I don't know, I guess it was that Friday garbage comes through. Everywhere I could look for, and I continued to look for it for a long time.
And law enforcement had been at your house and also had searched kind of high and low in the home looking for that too, right?
After I got them to actually, look for it the second time around, they didn't seem to be too interested in finding it at first.
Are you aware that they also went and searched outside, looking everywhere between your home and where Carly was found?
I know they looked in the backyard, and one of them was kind of looking over the fence just to see if anything had been thrown anywhere.
At some point, was that camera found?
Yes, I later found it. As a lot of y'all know, when something happens, everybody always brings tons of food over, and the refrigerator had gotten just packed full of stuff, and we were slowly trying to clean that stuff out and get rid of it over time, and I found the camera back. It was actually back behind some water bottles about like that in the back of the fridge.
Was that the same day, Heath, that law enforcement had been looking for the camera at the house?
Yes, that's the third time they came out to search the house and the yard and all around.
That was some pathetic forensic searching of the house that they didn't search the refrigerator and freezer for a camera. I thought they would be a little more thorough than that. Found it in the refrigerator.
Searched and didn't find anything.
Who was there when you, who found the camera?
I did.
Who was there when you found it, Heath?
My mom was there, and like I said, law enforcement had just left a few minutes before.
And based off your prior conversation with them, you wanted to make sure that they were in fact the ones that came and got it, that you
Yes.
didn't mess with it, right?
Correct.
And so what did you do to let them know that you'd found the camera?
I called back the number that I had for Mr. Zach Cotton, and I don't know, I guess that goes to our front desk, and they had to patch me through somehow, or he called me back or something, I don't remember. Okay.
And what's your understanding of who Zach Cotton is?
He had given me his card to contact him. I'm just assuming he was like the main investigator.
And I want to take you back a step, and we'll come back to the camera, Heath. I mean, you had actually come in to the sheriff's department and given an interview with Investigator Cotton, right?
Yes.
And that was before this had happened.
I believe so. Yes, ma'am.
And that's when you told him that Carly was in therapy for stress and anxiety.
Yes.
Do you know how long that camera had been in the refrigerator?
I don't know.
Did you put that camera in the refrigerator?
No.
Whoa.
Based off what you know, how do you think that camera got put in the refrigerator?
I'm assuming that.
Objections, speculation, Your Honor.
I was waiting for that.
Sustained.
I'll rephrase the question. When's the last time you saw that camera plugged in at your house?
I guess previous day. It might not have noticed if it had been gone then, but I'm assuming it was there the previous day.
And when you got home on March the 19th, 2024, was that camera still attached in the kitchen?
No.
And who was the only person besides your deceased wife that had been in your home that afternoon
Well,
that you knew of?
at that time, Carly, but we since found out there was another person in there.
And do you, as you sit here today, you have no knowledge that that person moved anything in your house, right?
I don't know if anybody knows.
Sure.
I don't know.
Had she been over to your house before, the other girl?
Carly had a couple friends over a time or two, and I do believe she had been there once before, yes.
Did she have any like direct interaction with you when she was there?
No, I was laying on the couch when a bunch of them came through and said hey, and they were in Carly's room or messing around in the backyard some of the time.
When you left for work on March 19th, 2024, did you ever see that morning or the night before, had you seen any empty vape pen boxes?
No.
If they had been sitting, if they were found at the desk in your bedroom, would you have seen those before you left for work?
I would believe so.
Looked like Carly was taking notes. She put it in the fridge because she's stupid. Why would she put it in the fridge? She didn't. She on team brain. She didn't think about the consequences. But she knew to get the camera and remove it.
Do you know anything about Carly using drugs, Heath?
I had no idea of it until the events of I guess until the second police search.
And what are you referencing when you talk about the second search?
When they came back, I guess it was Friday, so after the murder had taken place, and they came out with a couple of things out of Carly's room that we had no clue of. So I don't know anything about them. It was new to me.
When you told law enforcement that you'd found the camera in the refrigerator, at that point, did you give them consent to kind of see what was on that camera?
Yes. He had me sign something as he was taking it, so I assumed that was consent.
I want to take you back to the interview that you gave with Investigator Cotton, and you probably don't remember the contents of all that, right? It was,
Not at this time. I think we were in there for a while and covered a lot.
do you remember talking to him about what might have been stressing Carly out at the time?
I don't remember that conversation, no.
Do you remember him asking you, kind of midway toward the end of the conversation about if there was anything else that you knew about Carly or about what was going on that might be helpful to their investigation?
Again, I don't remember at this point what was said there. I know y'all probably got a record of it, but I don't recall.
And that's okay. When traumatic things happen, our bodies respond in certainly different ways, and I don't think anyone in this room wants to experience what you've experienced, and so I don't expect you to remember everything. You had a lot of questions on that day, right, about what happened?
Yeah.
Heath, at some point, there was a no contact order put in place between you and Carly.
Yes.
Did you ask the court to lift that?
Yes.
And since that time, you've had contact with her?
Yes.
At any time during your communication with Carly, has she told you that she was not the person that killed her mother?
No. We have not had any kind of conversation, anything like that. Nothing to do with the case or the trial.
Do you see Carly in the courtroom, Heath?
Yes.
If you could you point her out?
Right there.
And could you tell me where at that table that you pointed at that she's sitting?
She's in between Mr. Camp and Miss Todd in black.
And is that the same person that shot you with that .357 Magnum on March the 19th, 2024?
Yes.
May the record reflect that the defendant's identified that the witness has identified the defendant.
A little weird. He smiled when he said it.
I
She
have no
smiled,
further
nodding at him.
questions.
Okay, this is getting weird.
Thank you, Heath.
Approach real quick.
Well, I'm thinking that's the end of direct. Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it's 10:30. It's about time for we'll take a mid-morning break and a mid-afternoon break. If y'all would, go on ahead. I'm going to have you step to the back to the jury room, use the restroom, getting coffee, getting...
I think that's the end of direct. I kept it going. I was going to just break things up in pieces, but I don't even know if anybody's going to make it to the end of this video. It's over an hour. But I didn't want to stop. I wanted to listen to everything he's saying, and he's been in contact with her. Surely they would be recording everything they're saying. They still have to go to court. He has to testify against her or for her. And there's none of this, let's get our story straight. If I was glancing down at the chat, and some people think that he may be involved. There's a kind of conspiracy thing talking in the chat, which is, I doubt it. He comes home. He's in shock. I mean, even some of the best actors couldn't pull that off. I mean, you could hear the agony and pain in this man's voice calling 911. And when the body cam footage with the police officer showed up, was clearly he was in agony, distraught, shocked. And how is he going to remember everything he said a year ago when they pulled him into an interrogation room? Y'all know they have to interrogate everybody. They got to know what's going on. Whether the tact about it is, or either they want to try to get it as fresh as possible, but he was clearly in shock. Obviously, compared to 911 tape and the body cam footage. Well, there you have it. That is the direct from the prosecution. And in the next video, we will continue with his examination.